Welcome back, blade fans, to this old sword blade reviews. Got a brand new knife to show you today, and yeah, you're only looking at the pouch because the pouch has a label on it. So we're going to be looking at a Ketuo knife, which is a wing of the Rike Knife Company. It's kind of focused on, I think, the US, because we do have a Ketuo US site. I'll leave you the link to that. This is designed by David Jin. I believe it's pronounced Jin with a Z when you see the J in Chinese. And it's called the Griffin. So there you have it. Not much to look at there. You do get a nice Ketuo pouch. And it's nice to see more knives coming again in pouches. But let's take a look. I'm closing it instead of opening it. Isn't that fun? Because I can't see. There is the Griffin, designed by David Jin. It's his first knife. It is very angular with lots of interesting stuff going on here. It might be a bit too busy for you. It is kind of a Star Wars sort of spaceship looking style knife in the vein of earlier Rike knives, especially earlier ones. But it's really a sight to behold. We've got some just really fascinating things going on here. We've got a very large raised backspacer that houses that lanyard hole. It's like a mile wide. You may or may not like that, and I'm not dissing it by using any of these descriptors. There you have a bridged backspacer, so you can see through. Jimping back here that's pretty effective should you need it, and it is a button lock. It's got three ways of opening. It's got a slotted hole. It's got a a flipper tab. I love to combine words. If you've been following me, must be the age catching up with me. This is a platform here for front flipper. And of course, you can push the button and gravity open it. So really 4 ways to open this knife. Pretty amazing. And I'll leave the interview with David that was done by LTK down below in the description so that you can hear him describe his own knife. And I don't mind doing that because we all love knives and we all love LTK, right? Right. Go watch his channel. Good stuff. Here's the back flipper. And there's the blade. It took me that long. Yes, some of you are going to be saying, it took you 3 minutes to show me the blade. Well, what do you want? Instant gratification? You one of those guys? You kind of premature? Oh, no, I'm sorry. I like to savor it and take my time, guys. There is a giant choil area that is actually trapezoidal in shape, squared off. You can definitely stick your finger in there and drop your thumb on that cutout. It's he calls it a spear point harpoon, which I think is apt. It is M390 steel, by the way, and TC4 titanium. We've got a very nice marbled carbon fiber on both sides. Yes, on both sides, even though the clip covers most of it on the right side of the knife. And the way he describes it, he's got these little pockets cut out here so that you can pinch grip it if you want to use it this way. Apparently has a background in, well, I'll let him describe his background to you, but he's been a knife lover all his life, and this is his first design. And if you want to watch the video, I will let you watch that and learn a little bit more about David. Got some nice detail here, the stepped machining just underneath the pivot. The pivots are all slotted, except this one's triangular, and I couldn't get this one to move. So I'm going to assume that maybe it's this one but then what tool do you use? Kind of a Microtech tri-wing? I don't know. So, so far, I haven't been able to loosen the pivot screw, but it is slotted, as is the disassembly screw on the back that takes out the backspacer. We have two T8s, it looks like, to take the clip off, and the clip is, yes, a machined titanium clip that is transferable to the left side of the knife for you lefties. Let's see how she closes. Quite nice. And you need a lot of pressure to get it to drop. I'm going to try to do that all in one swing, let's see. There we go. Let me back out a little, that might help. Not that much. Come on. Right about there. That's where I want to be. You got a front flipper too, and that works pretty well. You've got a middle finger flick possibility, and you have a thumb flick. And you have, come on, you have the gravity open. The thing is, for safety purposes, and I think this is a cool thing, you really need to press all the way in on that button, and then it swings freely. So if you do this while you're using it, you have to push pretty hard. If you push just a little, it's not going to close. That's a good thing. Rattles a little bit because it begins to disengage, but by the way, that locks up drum tight, no lock rock, no blade play, completely tight, runs on bearings, got some excellent, excellent jimping, both on the frame and on the thumb ramp. Really, really cool. So yeah, you can choke up, you can hold it back here. It is a full-size knife, and that brings me to talking about the dimensions. Overall length, 8.5 inches. Blade length, we're going to call it 355. I think that's what they're calling it. Cutting edge, 3.25. So you lose a fair amount because of the choil. You may or may not like that. It's kind of a radical design. If you like different things, then I think this is the way to go. But if you don't like different things, 3.5 millimeter blade stock, inches, 0.13. Handle thickness, 0.53. Is 0.53 too wide? I don't think so. Certainly doesn't feel fat. It's a good ergos for grip, and you really feel that stop at the front, call it a guard built into the frame, because you've got a deep cut here. You've got chamfering all the way around. You've got a kind of a fancy detailed chamfering there. Nice plate they put in so you don't have an open hole on the left side for the pocket clip. And again, you could put a rope, a pretty good sized marine rope or whatever through there. But then again, that seems to be the style that they like over at Rike. And with David being his first design, I think he said he's taken inspiration, by the way, from Bob Truzzola. I'm not so sure this looks like a Bob Truzzola knife, but what the heck? Inspiration is inspiration. Weight is 4.7 ounces. Not too bad for a solid titanium knife. And let me just see if they do any weight relieving, and in fact they do. Tone this down a little bit. Might still be too bright. Let's see. I'm sure you can see in there. There we go. There are pockets. A lattice work of pockets on both sides. Quite a bit of weight relieving and fairly deeply cut. So that's good. Here's a knife I wanted to compare it to. Here is the Rike M2, not M3, M2. And I think you'll agree that the space age style, alien style handles, particularly, and the blade are very similar, except we've got a whole different design here to the handle. But you know, Rike is just known for this detail work, and look, got a lot of the same stuff going on in a different way. This one's got a double lock, by the way, on the right side of the knife. I don't know that I can engage it right now. Why can't I? There we go. Got to give it a good push. Anyway, not that that's important because we're talking about the Griffin. This is the M2, another Rike design. And it looks like an integral, but it is not. It is two handle halves completely enclosed. And you may be familiar with the 1902, a beautiful classic Rike knife. With nice marble carbon fiber and red and gray carbon fiber. Just on one side, unfortunately, I really like to see the material on both sides when they can do it, but I guess it cuts down on the cost, I'm not sure, and makes it less complex putting it on the lock bar side. So there you have those three, and you may be familiar with a little number that Rike made as an OEM for Microtech. Yes, the SOCOM Bravo. Initially lots of controversy and later a lot of love for this knife, but you can see the type of detail that's put in there. It's a Microtech design, but I'm sure that Rike had a lot of influence over the final work on this knife. So there you have the, see if we can fit them all in, can we? I'm sure we can. We've got the Griffin on top, kind of the small guy on the block at 3.55 inches. We've got the SOCOM Bravo full 4 inches on the M2, and pretty close to 4 inches on the 1902. Some beautiful knives by Rike. Let's put all of the comparatives aside and give you one last compare and one last look around. So one last compare, well, let's use the Griptilian for size anyway. So we've got the Griptilian coming in maybe a ½ inch shorter overall. But the blade very much the same. So we're packing a little more blade in that one. Let's close the button lock on this one. And yeah, so you've got a fair amount of extra handle, but you've got the tip of that point, the tip of that blade tucked safely down in there, so you're not going to jab yourself, as sometimes happens. Closer look. Nice fuller. I mean, there's so much going on here. You could look at this and say, you know, it's just too complex for me. You know, I'm not into this kind of thing. Other people may take a look at it and say, wow, I mean, that's interesting. There's just, I like all that stuff going on. That's certainly up to you. Knives are kind of a reflection of our tastes. That's why some of us like entirely different knives from other collectors and users. But that is the Rike Griffin, designed by David Jin. And I'll have more info for you again in the notes. So check that out. Don't forget to give this vid a like and subscribe if you haven't already. I'd love a few more subscribers. We're at about 6,500 or so. Maybe we'll have a giveaway up the line. You never know. Okay, folks, be well. Take care. See you real soon. Got more knives to show you. Yes, I do.